All right, Alabama fans around the world just went through the biggest roller coaster of emotions, taking down number one Georgia 2 weeks ago, being crowned the top team in the country, only to fall to Vanderbilt in the following week. So, in this week's AP Coaches poll, Vandy only received 4 votes, obviously showing that they felt like the Tide beat themselves. They also had a few disciplinary issues during that game as well. Rodney, how does Alabama move forward from this, or did a loss of this magnitude expose some greater concerns within the Alabama program under new head coach Caleb Devore?
First of all, I want to shout out the AKAs from Vanderbilt. Phenomenal chapter over there at Vanderbilt. Yes, I don't think this loss derails Alabama's season whatsoever. We are now entering a 12-team. It was such an overcorrection. A 12-team college playoff system. So there's not 11 teams who are going to jump over Alabama between now and the end of the season. They'll have every opportunity, of course, playing in the SEC to more than make up for a loss against Vanderbilt. While I understand we'll have an emotional reaction to this loss, in the grand scheme of things, Alabama will be one of the final 12 teams that are vying for a chance to win a championship. And so I don't think this is any cause for concern. I think these kind of games happen. I think when you know that you have that much of a buffer, from going from 4 college playoff football teams to 12, you might have more of a letdown, right? You don't have to rest. You don't have to be so aggressive and so anxious about going out there and performing week in and week out the same way you have traditionally. So I feel like Alabama's fine. It is what it is. It's one of those games. Here you go.
I'm going to be hard on them.
Are you a Bama fan? Oh, okay, cool. Got it.
As an Auburn graduate, I've watched a lot of Alabama football, and I will say that was the most undisciplined team I have ever seen in my life. Malachi Moore, you're a captain. What are you doing? Rodney, come on. Okay, you throwing your mouthpiece, fine, right? But you kicking the football at the line of scrimmage, getting a penalty.
Okay. You talking about at the end of the game? You talking about when?
Yes.
Vandy was.
Then he was getting burnt the whole game, and then you're doing this, and they're trying to get him off of the field, and he's not going. Caleb Devore is coming over there. Kane Womack, the DC, he's trying to get him off the field. He will not get off the field. So I think that those moments like that show, okay, Caleb, are you trying to be their friend? Because I know for a fact he wouldn't have done that under Nick Saban. I know that. And you're a captain at that. So I think that was kind of when I asked you about maybe some of those concerns, within the program, I felt like that kind of worries me a little bit. Also, they had rat traps. So they're doing these little gimmicks. They had allegedly put rat traps around the facility because they felt like this was a trap game and they were trapped. Anyways, let's look at Alabama's schedule moving forward. They have South Carolina next week. Then in 2 weeks, they have number 8 Tennessee. Tennessee just lost to Arkansas, so they're going to be playing, and it's in Knoxville. That's a toss-up. Then you have a toss-up?
You a 50-50 chance of winning the game? That's what a toss-up is. You don't think Alabama's going into that game the favorite?
Tennessee actually is kind of good.
I'm not saying they're not.
Have you been watching them?
No, I actually have watched Tennessee games. You think that they are on Alabama's level?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
We'll revisit this in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Then they have number 21 Missouri. That's at home, so I feel like they should get a win there. Then they play LSU in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
That might be a tough one. Then they have Mercer. Then they have 18th ranked Oklahoma on the road. And then they have Auburn, right? So
who?
I didn't say that was a L.
Okay, I thought you said then they have Auburn that was some kind of hurdle or something.
No, I was just naming the rest of their schedule moving forward.
All right, I just want to make sure you were being humble. That's all. Continue.
Anyways, I don't know if Caleb Devore is the best fit. I know that was a lot of concerns people were trying to figure out coming from the Pac-12. Does he really have what it takes to be a head coach, not only in the SEC, but at a storied program like Alabama? And I'm like,
y'all tough. Y'all tough in the South. I ain't gonna lie.
If Nick Saban lost to Vanderbilt, come on now. And listen, I was just in Nashville, so I know Vanderbilt, they've done a lot of things to change their program. But they just lost to Georgia State, right? And,
shout out to Diego Pavia. Shout out to Diego Pavia. Yeah,
shout out to Jerry Kill. Tim Beck, all
Yeah.
those guys from New Mexico State, they have changed that program. However, you don't lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Nick Saban had some unsavory things to say about Vanderbilt before the game as well. I hear what you're saying. It's a trap game, and this is a team that is still acclimating to a new voice. I just don't think that it's that big of a deal on the grand scheme of things. Even as a 2-loss team, Alabama will more than likely be in the college football playoffs. I don't see them losing any more than 2 games, and so I'm not concerned because I feel like once they get into the playoff format, there is something about having Alabama across your chest that puts worry in teams when it's a win or go home situation. And not to say that they have to rest on their laurels and ride on history. I just think that they're in a comfortable position in the SEC, in the college football playoff picture, and they'll be just fine.
Rodney, I'm serious. Do you feel like under Nick Saban, for one, that boy would have acted like that?
Okay.
And 2,
well, we don't know. Like, there is a new energy in college football where now that these players are being compensated the way in which they are, their attitudes are different. At the end of the game, Pavia, right? After he gets this win in real time, he's like, yeah, this is a big win, for NIL, it's money. Like, that's literally where his brain went in the post-game interview. So there is a new player that exists in collegiate sports who is far more concerned with his ability to generate money for himself while he's in college than somebody who's buying into a team system and is fearful of his coach. So and it's not even just good things that make your name popping for NILs. You can be somebody who's had demonstrative behavior and people want to know who you are because of your theatrics on the field, and that translates to money as well. So I can't say that he would or would not have done that under Sabin. I just know that Sabin probably would have had a different reaction, but he might be somebody who's vying for an opportunity to get more eyeballs on himself. That's all.
Well, Rodney just made a great point about NIL. Do you feel like that may be a reason why some of the guys aren't being as respectful? You all let us know down in the comments.